So this is not the easiest video for me to do because this requires me to be very vulnerable. And vulnerability is not my strong suit. In this video, I am going to speak about how I despise pygmies, had high contempt for pygmies. I didn't even like the word pygmy, but for lack of a better way to explain it, I thought I wasn't a pygmy because I did not have the same experience as what I perceived the pygmy to have. I wasn't like vying for a man's attention or to be picked by men. Like, I never really had that problem as far as like a man wanting me. Hell, even women wanted me, even couples. But I digress. Let me stay on point. But because of how I looked at what a pygmy was, I thought that I didn't fit into that category. And I discovered recently that I indeed was a pygmy. I was a pygmy because I looked down on women. I thought I was better than women. And a part of that was because I did not like I the experience that I seen from women, that I've seen a lot of women, not all women, but a lot of women have. I thought that women were weak. If I'm just gonna be completely real. Like, I thought that women were weak. I didn't want to be associated with that. I was even a tomboy growing up. I thought that women was weak, and like, how could you allow men to do this to you? Men obviously must be the more powerful ones if you allowing them to do this to you. Like, even though that wasn't what I was saying, it was what I was feeling and what I was thinking, and which is why it fueled a lot of my behavior. And in thinking like that, I didn't even like, even with fighting with women, like, I had a lot of fights, and this is not something I'm saying to brag. Please believe me, this is not something that I'm saying to brag about. But I had a lot of fights. I could say in my lifetime, probably at least 30 fights. I'm saying at least. And I mean, like, with different people, because it could have been more than that if we're going to count, like, maybe multiple fights with one person. But I can count on one hand, literally, how many of those fights was with the feminine energy, with females. Because I did not feel that fighting a girl when I was younger, like, fighting a girl was right, because I didn't like bullies. So don't get it twisted. I went out here just starting fights. So a lot of the fights that I had was me defending other people. But I didn't feel it would be fair for me to fight a girl, because I felt like I would beat her so bad, like, that wouldn't even be a fair fight. So I didn't even want to fight girls. Like, this is how much above women I thought I was. And so, yeah, that right there made me a pick me, and I did not realize it. It wasn't until I was older that I realized the strength that women had, the durability, the stable energy that women have, the security, the nurturing. Like, it was like, it took a lot for me to realize how strong women was. And looking at the emotional and sometimes physical, the mental and the spiritual abuse that women, I felt like, allowed, it really seriously made me look at women, like, look down my nose at them. In the beginning, you saw a picture of my mother and you saw a picture of my father. My mother was a strong woman in many ways, but in a way that I feel well, I'm gonna say this, not in a way. I feel like she didn't know how to deal with her circumstances, her situation. She did the best she could, but she didn't know how to deal with what she was dealing with. And it's difficult. My father also did not know how to deal with what was going on at that time. And I feel like he did the best he could to protect my mother, but he didn't know how to. Like he didn't know. And the fact is, like, my mother at the end of the day, she was choosing her side. Like, she was choosing what side she wanted to roll with, because she was also afraid. She was afraid of the consequences. She was afraid of speaking up and not knowing what happened. And then, like I was born out of love and war. So when I say, like, my mother and my father love each other, but the families was at war, it was bad. I'm talking like my mother's side pulling up to my father's side of the house, guys sitting outside their house with vans with men with shotguns and stuff. Like, it was bad. And all of this stemmed from the point of fact that my mother told my father about her being molested by her stepfather, and my mother's side of the family wanted to keep it a secret. So they basically, like, was at war with my father's side because of that, because they wanted, they, like, if my father ever came out and said something, they wanted it to look like he was saying something in retaliation versus just coming out and saying, oh, this is what's happening. This, it's like they wanted to get ahead of it. You know what I mean? If you know, but being born from that type of environment, I recognize a couple things. Like, one, that everything here is signs and symbols, first of all, okay? But I recognize that I was a symbol for the love between my mother and my father, and what would also be the peace between the two families. Like, even though my mother's side really, like, fought hard to, like, try to turn me against my father, in which for the earlier parts of my life it did work, but it didn't once I became old enough to really, like, bone my father and talk to my father and get his side of things. It changed, but when my mother transcended, I leaned more into Nuwabu, and I learned about that side of myself. I recognized, throughout those years that, that something that I felt within me was me acknowledging the Anunnaki part of my bloodline. So I recognized that, and honestly, that did not really help either, as far as me acknowledging the women's side of things, like, or the feminine side of things. It still didn't help, because even when you get down to that, we was looking at as Anu as the Most High, and not acknowledging Antum, his other half. We wasn't acknowledging this. And so I was still putting the patriarch before the matriarch. And at some point, I started having dreams, visions. And let me say this about the dreams first. So one of the dreams that I remember vividly was, first of all, my dreams, my vision at this period in my life, and this is when I guess the divine feminine part was trying to awaken within me. When that part of me was awakening to my feminine aspect, because before I only vibrated with my masculine, like, I was more in my masculine energy than anything. And that's crazy, because you would think, like, oh, as a pick me, oh, you're in your feminine energy. Like, no, when you a pick me, you are really vibrating masculine energy for real, but let me go back to the point though. When I started to vibrate more in my feminine energy, like, well, it was pulling me toward that, should I say. Like, I was being pulled toward the energy. And I would have these dreams where I would be completely naked. And I was trying to figure out, like, why the hell am I always naked as fuck in my dreams? I'm naked in my dreams. I'm naked in my vision. When I meditate, I'm naked. Like when I if I show up in my meditation, when I meditate, I'm completely naked. And I'm trying to figure out why. So in one of my dreams, I recall that I was like, it was like dark as hell outside, and these lions, it was like 3 or 4 lions, they just, like, started coming out, and it was like they was sitting there, like they was waiting on me to give them command. It was like the craziest thing. Then, like, later on, I end up connecting with, I would say, a version of Inky, or maybe Inky's bloodline, right? And that experience, like connecting with him and him being so sure that he was Inky, we began to like he started to spark some shit in me. And even like it started to make me remember even more of my visions. And I started to share these things with him. But another one of my visions, it was completely dark. And I was like when I say completely dark, it was triple darkness. Like when I say triple darkness, like you cannot even see in front of you. But oddly enough, wherever I directed my eyesight, like if I looked at something, then light would illuminate and it'd be like something would appear. Like it'd either be like a structure or something. Like it was something would appear. But it was only where I directed my sight toward. And then as I would start to take steps, I realized that I was on water. Like the water was black though. Like it was completely black. So I'm walking on this water, and wherever I put my foot, land literally grow under my foot. Like every time I took a step, a piece of land would grow under my foot. I did not understand this for the life of me at that time. I was dealing with someone at the time, well not at the time but like later on, and we was talking about like things we would see doing our visions and stuff, and he started telling me about like how he was here, how he'll be traveling to pyramids and this and the third. And then I told him about my vision with that vision because I was still confused about it. He like, oh, you ain't go nowhere, like anybody close their ass and go into the dark. But I'm like, I felt it in my bones and my soul that it was deeper than, oh, I was just in the dark. But he downplayed this shit, and I didn't really have answers for it at the time, so I kind of downplayed it too. Like, okay, well, I mean, I don't know what it means, so, you know. But again, like I say, this was me not stepping into my own energy and my own power and trusting, like, that I know who I am, and I know, or asking for those visions to be decoded. Another one was like, okay, like I just did a video recently about activating Merkaba. And I always get this from men. Like I spoke to another one of my, brothers in Leo, and I was trying to explain this to him because, I felt like, okay, maybe he had this experience. And I was telling him about, the experience I had when it felt like, and this is not just me talking, like somebody else witnessed it. Actually, they woke me up. Like I had nodded off. And I was vibrating, and the bed was vibrating, nothing else. And because where I was sitting at the time, it was like kind of prone to having earthquakes. When I woke up, I was discombobulated, so I thought it was an earthquake, but it was nothing else vibrating but me in the bed. And the person, like, they woke me up like, you all right? Like, you cool? Like, and when they said that, then it hit me, like, I'm like, I can feel it. Like, I'm like, and I can't even, I really cannot completely explain it besides a point of fact, like, I'm like shaking, like, you know how if you're really cold and you like your body like shaking real fast, like you shivering? It was like that, but I didn't feel like I was cold or anything like that. It was just, I was shivering, was shaking. I would say vibrating because it wasn't nothing but me in the bed. And when that person realized, he's like, oh, what the hell happened? He backed up out the door. And I'm like, wait. Because I couldn't even move. Like, I was stuck in the position I was in. I'm like, wait, don't leave me, But he like, nah, what's the fuck going on with you? You know what I'm saying? So I know for a fact, like this experience, and I've had that experience more than once, like similar. And I recognize that was my Merkaba activating. And so I would hear men, who are more left brain thinking, will say things like, oh, well, you can only do that mentally. It's just mental. You can only do it in your head. You can astral project, but it's in your head. And I'm like, no, you can physically do this. I know you can. I went back and I thought about what I was thinking about and things like that. And I'll probably do a video because this video is not about that in particular. But I would probably go back and do a longer video, like explaining those experiences and what I was doing and how, your navigation is your thoughts, like your vision, your imagination, but your emotions is your fuel. And you really can do this. You really can break down your atoms and you can fly. But like I said, this video is not about that. This video is about, how these traditions get passed down and how we become pygmies and not even realize it. So as you can see, I put up a lot of different images. Y'all can pause to read them and things like that. But I wanted to go back and I wanted to talk about like the code of Hammurabi and the code of Inanna. Like these these ancient writings or laws predates the Bible. And it is where a lot of like where they get certain parts of the Bible from, right? A lot of people like or religious people wouldn't want to recognize this or acknowledge this because that would like kind of displace their thought processes about who wrote the Bible, where it came from, and this, that, and the third, and all that. It will, it'll shatter them. But it really was like I've said this in another video that I've done recently, that the guys in the Bible is Enki, Enlil, and Anu. But at the time, Enlil was holding the title of Anu because Anu is a name and a title. Okay, so Enlil was holding the title of Anu at the time. So, King Hammurabi wrote these laws for Marduk. Now, if we know Marduk went to war with Tiamat, okay? So this is where like this part of me was starting to be awakened. Like, no, you're not just Anunnaki. You are part earthly as well. As we all like a lot of us, whether we acknowledge it or not, I want to acknowledge it or not, a lot of us carry both bloodlines within us, and some don't. Some people are straight up of Anunnaki bloodline reincarnated. Some of us are straight up just earthly beings, like was here on earth before Anunnaki came, and they don't have any connection to Anunnaki, and they don't like the Anunnaki because they don't have that connection, and their bloodline remembers how the Anunnaki came here, and they remember them coming and bringing religion and this spell of Kingu, which is the spell of sleep. So, I get like, to a certain degree why some people, look at the Anunnaki in a certain way, but it wasn't, how can I put it? It wasn't all of the Anunnaki. If we're going to be real about this shit, Enki is the one who really brought this religion here. And Marduk or Murdoch, Murdoch enforced it. And solidified it, should I say, with the spell of Kingu. A lot of these codes, a lot of, what we read in the Bible, the laws of how we're supposed to behave and conduct ourselves, like these things took place, like I say, long before the Bible, and they get passed down to our ancestors. And this is, a part of how we become these, like as women, how we become these pygmies, and we want to be accepted and chosen by these men, in one way or another. Like I said, for me, it wasn't in the sense of relationship wise, and this is why I didn't look at myself as a pygmy, because it was not in a sense of, oh, I want a man to love me and pick me and be with me. I never had that problem. Like, I never had a problem with a man wanting to be with me. Like I said earlier in this video, shit, it wasn't just men, it was women, couples, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Watch out. You know what I'm saying? Like, just keeping it real. Like, that's a reality story. So because of that, I really did not see it for what it was in myself. I didn't see myself as, okay, you're not a pick me in that sense, but you a pick me in the sense of, you don't want men looking at you as weak. You don't want men looking at you as a woman, because you associate, like, you're a woman, obviously. You know what I'm saying? No matter how you may try to wear baggy clothes and stuff and act like the dudes and walk like the dudes and talk like the dudes and dress like the dudes, like no matter how much you try to do that, like you are a woman. Like I had one of my homeboys tell me that because like I said, I used to dress like a boy. And I got some body parts that I don't care what I do, it is not being hidden, okay? But I used to, in my mind, I thought I was doing something by wearing big jogging pants and oversized t-shirts, stuff like that. I thought I was doing something. And he told me, like, he was like, I don't know what you think you had, because everything that you got, like, he trust and believe, everything that you got up under them clothes, when you walking down the street, these men see it. They see this, they see that, they see, like, all that you trying to hide, they see it. And honestly, it's not that I didn't know that, like intellectually, but for some reason, ain't no for some reason, I still was convincing myself that I was hiding something and that I was blending in with the men and I was just like one of the men. I like when I say I really act like a dude, even in how I deal with relationships, like how I treated like the man that I was with, like okay, so you know how women have a tendency of being more forgiving about things. Like we'll say things like if a woman cheat on a man will just leave. You know what I'm saying? If a man cheat on a woman, the woman like be trying to figure out ways to stay with him. We want to hear his excuses. Like, nah, I was like a dude in that sense. Like once I found out you cheating, I don't want to hear no explanation. You ain't got nothing to tell me, nothing to say. It's a wrap. It's over. Like that is how men usually deal with situations when they deal with a woman cheat on. That's how they usually deal with it. They don't stick around and hang around. Like seriously, like I said, I really moved like a man, and that was that was another one of my ways of like trying to steer clear of being a woman or associated with a woman. Um, Now let me back up to something else, right? So on my mother's side, um, I have a lot of Masons and Eastern Stars on that side of my family. And I will honestly say the family members that's not Eastern Stars and Masons are basically somewhat like the black sheep of the family. They're not as accepted as the ones, like it's like they click up. The ones that are Eastern Stars and Masons, they click up, they're closer. The ones that's not, they kind of shunned and pushed to the side. Okay, now not in the younger generation, but like my mother generation and back. My great grandmother had some type of ranking. She was a high ranking Eastern Star. I don't know the titles and stuff like that, but you just hear things. And anyway, when I was probably around, shit, I don't know, probably around like 18, maybe 17 to 18, up in that age range. I was a young adult, so I would say probably maybe like 18 ish. I was in that age range. One of my uncles and aunties would sit me down, and they done this more than one time. But I remember this one particular, and this was like the last time that they did this. But they sat me down at the table and they were badgering me like about being an Easter Star. And I'm like, like I'm asking questions and they can't answer my question. Like, well, you will know when you join. No, I won't know when I join because I'm not joining nothing that I can't ask questions about. If I can't know what it's about before I join, I'm not joining. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't even know what, like, I know the name. Like, I know what the name of it. I don't know what it's about. What's the purpose? You ain't telling me nothing. Now, I knew more than I was leading on, but I'm saying from the viewpoint of me asking them who is pushing this on me. If you can't tell me, I don't want to know. I don't want to be a part of that. And I remember them saying stuff because actually the uncle was trying to get my auntie to, give me, because I was like, because he had already asked me about it. Well, they had already talked to me about it. They both had, but it was kind of brief before. But this particular time, they really kind of was going in, and I was asking like, well, how come a woman can't be a Mason, but a Mason can be an Easter Star? And they like, well, those are, she like, well, those are big brothers. I'm like, but they can be Easter Stars. So what is it that they learning that we can't learn as if we Easter Stars? She's like, well, you don't need to concern yourself with that. No, yes, I do. Like, so that's one thing about me. I love to know. Like that, like it's nothing. I'm gonna keep it a straight up buck. It's nothing in this world that turns me on more than knowing. And I don't even know how else to put that. I can't even add nothing else to that or take nothing else away from it. It's nothing else in this world that turns me on more than knowing. So if I can't know something, that's like the biggest turn off to me. Like, oh, nah, I'm good. If I can't know, you know what I'm saying? Nah, I'm good. So when she was like, saying that to me, and I'm like, well, nah, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, nah, because that ain't cool. Like, I want to know what it's like. Even if let's just say that I could be like, even if they gave the option to say, okay, you can be a part of this. You know what I'm saying? I probably wouldn't even be so pressed about it. I probably just want to just go see what it is that, you know what I'm saying, that's going on. But for the point of fact that I can't even know, I can't even, nah, but you can come over here and know, nah, I'm good on it. Then even, let's go even deeper. How come melanated people can't be a part of Caucasoids lodges? How come it's segregated? You know what I'm saying? Oh, those are our forefathers. Your for what? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. This sounds very, you know what I'm saying, oppressive to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all got hierarchies and shit. Like, I'm good on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be, when I want to know something, I want to know. I don't want nobody telling me, oh, you can't know this or you can't know that. Nah, I'm good on that. You can't know this because of the color of your skin. You can't know that because your gender. Nah, I'm good on that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, after that conversation, they it ended with them calling me feminist and prejudice and all type. They start calling me all type of stuff. Like, I didn't really give a fuck. Just keep it a buck. I didn't really care. But that is, I brought that up to show that is another part of the training that we have, that we have embedded in us as women. Like, we are taught to forget our power. I did a video like a few years ago speaking about, sex priestess. And my mindset about it, if you go back, I'm not even gonna take the video down, but my mindset about it is completely different now than it was when I first did the video, because that's when I was first waking up to the energy. And I didn't fully get it like I thought I did. Like, I knew what I knew at that time, but moving into the era that I'm in now, I realize it is so much more that I did not realize about the feminine energy, about how powerful it is, about how these how the religious and the political groups use their power to suppress ours as women. And even right now, like when we talk about like these gender wars and stuff like that, like it's still going on. Like, it's if a man speak up for a woman, and it goes both ways. If a man speak up for a woman, then he is called a simp. Back when I was growing up, that wasn't what a simp was. A simp was a man who was basically like treating a woman who was not reciprocating his love back to him, like, like gold, but she treating him like shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what they called a simp back when I was growing up. But now it's like any man who defends a woman is a simp. Any woman who defends a man, well, any man that defends a woman is a simp. Any woman that defends a man is a pick me. And that's what I feel like I came here for, is the balance of that, because I got sons. You know what I'm saying? And I'm teaching my sons to respect women, but also to be the type of man that a woman can respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not out here just teaching them, oh, well, just whatever a woman say. Like, and when I hear some women, that's what I hear when they be speaking about these things. It's like, you can speak these things about the patriarchy and all this stuff, but if you got sons, what are you teaching them? Like, I'm not teaching my son to be out here and be a doormat for women because he is a boy. Oh, well, you a male, so you just gotta do whatever a woman do, just let her do it to you because she a woman. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want them to be protectors and providers, but I also want them to be protectors of themselves too. Don't just be out here letting women run all over you and dog you out either, So, I feel like the reason why I'm speaking out is like because we need the balance. And Being that I recognize that I have both bloodlines, and like these things that was passed down to us through one side of my bloodline, like I have to speak to the balance of it all. Like like throw the whole doctrine away. Like keep it a buck. Like I'm not even saying from the perspective of we need to follow these doctrines. I'm saying it from the perspective of we need to care about one another. Like fuck the gender, take the gender shit out of it. Just care about one another, and we could like all this can be balanced out. Like it can't be as a woman you just woman rights. That's it. That's it. That's it. Woman, 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 woman. Because it's gonna still be imbalanced if we don't take into consideration the other side. And if all we doing is pointing the fingers at each other, it's never gonna be no growth. Because neither side, nobody is responsible for your growth but you. You know, like I said, I put a lot of things in this, and you can look at, like I said, you can pause to read it. But I put the codes of Hammurabi. Like a lot of these things were put in place to suppress us as women. And we can like, and it's not that we gotta ignore that these things happen. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if we want to give birth to something new, then we need to speak to that energy. We need to speak power to that. The masculine side, the patriarch, don't need no more of our energy. It's okay, like to acknowledge, what happened and what they did. But I see a lot of just like blaming when it comes out. They did this, they did this. Man, fuck what they did it. So now what we gonna do to flip? Because at the end of the day, if we gonna give birth to something new, then we gotta focus on something new. We can't keep focusing on the same old shit because we're gonna keep birthing it. We're gonna keep giving birth to the same shit if we keep focusing on it. We want that shit to dissipate. Let it go. Not let it go in the sense of like you saying, oh, it didn't happen. But let it go in the sense of shift your focus to the world that you want to create. The world that you want to live in. Shift your focus to that. Because they have done enough to brainwash us, or brain soil us, should I say, into thinking that we less than, into forgetting our powers, forgetting why we here and what we can do. And then once we start to remember, instead of us using that power to create something sustainable, balanced, and healthy, we start thinking from our traumas. We live from our traumas. We see from our traumas. That was the biggest realization that I got from all of this. That like when I made this discovery, like of what I was doing and how I was being a pick me, like I realized it was from my traumas. This is why I brought up what happened with my mother and going back, what happened with my grandmothers and stuff like that, and how these names, like my father's name is Michael. My mother got Ryan in her name. Both of my grandmother's name is Ann. Like all these things are connected. These was all signs and symbols to wake me up. You got your own signs and symbols to wake you up. But you ain't gonna get there as long as you focus on the hurt, the trauma, the pain. As long as you focus there, that's what you're gonna keep perpetuating. That's what you're gonna keep birthing. Our womb is a portal. We are portals. So what we giving birth to is coming from our thoughts and our emotions. And we pulling it from the mental realm, from the spiritual realm into the physical. So until we recognize who we are, until we recognize like this is what happened, this is what was done, and why we are in this position, like that's what I'm saying. I had to realize and recognize why I was thinking like this. Where did this come from? And I recognized it. Like I realized, damn, this is where it came from. It started here. This is what my earliest memories from what happened with my mother. Then it went back to this. Then it went back to this. It went to, even back to my great grandmother being, I don't even know what her title was. But even like, I'm not even sure how, even before that. But I could say this. I've been here since the beginning. And I like this up like don't believe me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you what I know. I've been here from the beginning. And yes, I mean the beginning of time. And I remember so much, so many lifetimes, so many times that I reincarnated as different deities. I have even been here as masculine energies. So when I'm telling you that we got the power to birth a new creation, to birth a new world, don't believe me. Go in and check it out for yourself. Don't trust what I say. Meditate on it. Ask your guides, ask your higher self to show you. Show you who you are and why you are here. And ask yourself to guide you to know what to do with that affirmation. You are powerful. You are chosen.
144,000 chosen
Assured. We are clear alchemists.
trees.
Transmuting
Transmute
your
your
thoughts
thoughts into
into
gold.
gold.
Mariska Gale.
Yes, ask me.
Meet me in the laboratory.